What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Locker Room. I'm here with my brother, Scotty Prince, 300-game veteran. You've been retired for, 2 years now?
2 years, yeah.
What's been going on, bro?
Been very busy. First year out of football, I took up a role with Fox.
Yep.
So that sort of kept me busy throughout the year, and a lot of footy on the weekends. And so this year, doing bits and pieces, so keeping really busy.
And I seen you in Dubai 3 weeks ago for touch footy, bro. Living the dream, playing touch footy and going to, walk us through what it was like, and also how did all that come about?
I guess, the one thing when you retire from footy, you sort of want to be challenged and, want to be around the boys. That camaraderie is certainly the one thing you really miss. And I got a phone call from my cousin middle of last year, and he said, do you want to come back and play touch? And it never really crossed my mind. I thought, I'll come down and have a run, because the last time I played was when I was 16, 17 at high school. So went down and just sort of got a feel for it. And I thought, geez, and I still had the passion. I loved the game of touch footy, and I thought, and it's changed so much. So all the policies defensively and attack.
Oh, really? That was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. And the last time I played, it was 7 versus 7. Now it's 6 v 6.
Oh, really?
So I thought, I'm going to have to go home and watch a bit of YouTube. So I went home and watched YouTube. And
Sean Johnson highlights.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, mate, he's the king.
Bro,
but
ridiculous.
I thought, if I can do this and see it as a challenge and a good crew, really good family feel with the touch footy fraternity. Yep. So I did that, and then set a few goals. Played State of Origin over 30s for Queensland late last year.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah, and then the part of that, going into the World Cup this year in April. And in that time, I met a guy, John Larkins. He's over at the Middle East, so he's running the touch footy over there. So he's a lot of expats. So he's a Kiwi lad, and he pretty much hit me up saying, I'm doing a Middle East International in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. You want to come over and have a run? I said, mate, if you take care of flights and the com, I'm there.
So how long did you go for?
I was over there for 5-6 days.
Yep.
Their weekend is actually a Friday, Saturday, so they go back to work on a Sunday.
What?
Yeah, so it was a bit weird for me. And
that's weird.
And not only just the whole, the whole experience of going over to a different country and playing, but just the whole environment, 40-degree heat, 90% humidity. So I thought Townsville was bad. I was always complaining about growing up there, thinking I'll never complain about Australian summer ever again.
Right.
Ridiculous.
And what do you reckon was the biggest shock to you, culture-wise? Because obviously it's a different world over there.
Yeah.
What was it like to you?
It wasn't too bad. So I remember, I wasn't doing too much research on, you got to obviously pay respects to the
local customs.
So I thought I'd shoot a text just to find out exactly what I can wear, what I can say, because hearing stories you can't even have a.
You watched Bang Up Abroad before you went over.
Yes, mate. That's what scares me. My biggest fear is
being on Bang Up Abroad, sitting there.
Exactly, and telling my story, talking. Yeah, I got taken by two blokes.
Two blokes tied me up and threw me in the back of the van.
Yeah.
I was in my touch footy gear for 3 weeks.
Shaved head. Come home, that's my biggest fear is passing away overseas. That's my biggest fear.
Really?
Yeah.
It would be a tough gig, or just getting if you went to Mexico or something and the drug lords took you or something.
Mate. Different world.
Dude, if you had a gun, you just send it. You just say, fuck it, I don't want to go through the torture.
Yeah, well, you hear the stories. I think a few of the former players who played in the Super League, they got caught up in France or whatever.
Yep.
And you just see the guys that, you find yourself in a situation where you have to do some, drastic.
Very fast running or some good fighting.
Exactly.
And I can't fight, but I can.
You're very fast. Don't worry about that. I've seen you play before.
So, since you retired, has it been mentally for you? I know I struggled. Most of the guys I speak to struggle. You kind of landed in the Fox gig, but in saying that, nothing can ever compare to the intensity of playing at the NRL. So, how have you been with all that after footy?
I think I've been pretty fortunate. Played footy for a long time at the highest level in terms of being professional, and the one, I guess, thing that you struggle with is not having that goal and having the boys around you, but more so building for something. So I really struggled in October, November, at the end of that pre-season. So I'm sitting around the home going, geez, I should be doing something, looking ahead. So I found myself mowing the lawn twice a week, and my neighbours just thought I was mad.
You're literally the best garden in the world.
Back then, now it's rubbish. I'm never home, but No, yeah, you really struggle, and even while doing the Fox stuff, like you know, I never really watched a lot of games live. So I'm sitting on the sideline, you know, and after hearing, you know, Warren Smith and all these guys commentate your game, and, you know, it feels weird just talking to them, you know, working with them. So, and even just watching it, you go, gee, that's got to hurt. But you sort of, you know, doubt yourself thinking, geez, how do I get through this?
Yeah,
you know, because the game's just so hard. And seeing these young kids, I mean, I've done a sideline to a couple of the Parramatta games, and you've got these guys like Paulie and like 140 kilos and run like the wind.
Fast.
Run like the wind powerhouse. So
mate, it's ridiculous. 100%.
Yeah. So I mean, in saying that too, I'm happy. You know, I got through those years, but now you can just sit back and enjoy it. So I feel a lot better second year in. But the first year really struggled. Yeah, I think.
I honestly, I think unless it'd be weird to not struggle. I reckon it'd be weird to not struggle after footy. I reckon everyone that has played enough at first grade will struggle at some point. Yeah,
and it's almost like you lose your identity, you know, even 100%. When you go, you know, people know you as, you know, Scott Prince the football, and it's sort of, you start to really question yourself, you know, who am I really?
Yeah, what am I here for?
Yeah, exactly.
What's my purpose? Exactly. Like, I was a sportsman, that's who I was, that's what my whole life was directed to being this person. Yeah, oh man, 100%.
Yeah, so now it's, I mean, I'm sure everyone goes through that. I think it's just a natural progression.
Do you keep in contact with many of the boys, or?
Yeah, I try to keep in contact with them all the time. I'm still doing some stuff with the Broncos.
Okay,
you know, through Deadly Choices.
Were you doing? Was it the kids' books that you were putting together to like for kids and stuff like that?
Yeah, so that sort of started like the last 2-3 years when I was still playing, and I was approached by Dave Hartley, who's a deputy principal. So he came up with the idea of writing a children's book and using obviously rugby league as a tool to engage children. And
has it been really, really positive, like the feedback?
Yeah, it's been absolutely awesome. Like in terms of sales, like there's no money in writing books, so for all the lads who want to write a book, no good, don't do it. But that's not what it's about. For us is those reviews from teachers and parents. You know, when they've got their boys in particular, but boys and girls, you know, that read the book. It's the ones that go, you know, my son or daughter hasn't read a book for forever, and really? They've read it back to front, you know, 10 times, and that's why we write, you know, those late nights.
You couldn't buy that feeling of helping that kid, you know what I mean? Like no money could replace the feeling of a dad saying, "Oh, my child." Like that could be the pinnacle point that takes a child to this direction rather than the other direction. You know what I mean? Especially reading.
Exactly. Yeah.
So. Let's go all the way back to the start of your career in 1963.
Exactly. I don't know. I feel that way.
What was it? 1999?
98.
98.
Yeah. Good research. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, mate, I'll do my research. For the Cowboys and the Broncos, Tigers, Titans, back to Broncos.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, obviously the game has changed dramatically since then. What was it like for you when you did debut? What was the debut call like? You know, were you always expected to? Were you one of those young guns that were expected to play NRL, or was it a fight to play NRL? Because you're obviously a smaller half, so that would have been you're too. I got told myself I was too small to play footy.
Yeah.
What was the debut like for you? Very emotional, or?
Yeah, it was a bit weird. It's because I was sort of playing Townsville Stingers. So the Townsville Stingers were in the state league, which now is Intra Super Cup.
Yep.
So I was first year out of high school. I was doing some work just around the club, so they had me on a sports certificate. Yeah.
Completely different to now.
Yeah. So I was doing that. I was found myself, because Tim Sheens was the head coach at the Cowboys at the time, and he had this room. And he had libraries of tapes, and now they've got that, you know, that league software where you can just type in who you're. There was tapes back in the day, and he had 4 big screens. And of a lunchtime, you know, I'd go in, take my lunch, lock the door behind me, and I'd be just watching tapes of Joey.
Oh, really?
You know, Ricky Stewart, Laurie Daly. So I studied a bit, and you'd go out and, you know, take the good points out of those players and put your own spin on it. But I remember would have been sort of round 3, round 4. I wasn't too sure who the half that got injured. It was either Andrew Doonerman or Jason Ferris. He broke his jaw in the previous game, and I missed the game because of a cork. And Tim Sheens walked in the gym. I remember it like yesterday, and he tapped me on the shoulder. He said, "Oh, you be right to play this week?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good to go." And he goes, "Good, because you're sitting on the bench." And we're playing the Raiders. So Laurie Daly was playing back then.
No way.
So we played against old Loz.
So your debut was against Laurie Daly?
Yeah, 98 round 4 at Dairy Farmers Stadium. There you go.
Out
David Ferner, back rower.
Wow, far out.
Yeah, so
he's running at you all day.
All day. He picked me up that game.
Did he?
Put me on my head. Now I'd cop 8 weeks for that.
So did he even cop anything of that? Back in those days, you could get put on your...
Oh, mate, I played fullback. I remember a few of the games, and you know what it's like, bringing the ball back.
Yeah.
You run up
Right.
against 10, 12 blokes, and
And they want to kill you, literally.
yeah, you're 65 kilos, wringing wet. So you're bringing it back. I remember a game at Leichhardt Oval, tough game, and it's slippery as all buggery, and you're bringing the ball back and you're copping it, and there was a bit of facial. You can get away with it back
Yeah,
then,
back
and
then,
the
yeah.
elbows on your
Oh,
face, and
yeah.
it's like, they verbal, and you bring it back again, you're going to cop the same treatment, young boy.
mate.
Welcome to the NRL.
Oh, and it was kind of like a rite of passage. It's like if they didn't physically abuse you like that
Yeah.
or be rough to you, it's
Yeah.
like as if they had no respect for you or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So you got you played. Did you come off the bench or did you end up starting?
No, I come off the bench.
Yep.
So I think Johnny Doyle was the fill-in half for and I was just sort of the reserve, and so I played I think a little stint in hooker, fullback, and 5'8" through that time. But I remember sitting on the bench and Ben Kennedy walked past. He was a Raider back then.
Yep.
And I remember looking, thinking, "Holy
massive.
shit! Look at the size of this bugger," you know. So and that was I was in the jerseys back then. They were swimming on you. You know?
You were a jersey son.
Yeah. So we ended up winning the game. So I was pretty stoked about that. And I think Glenn Murphy, who was sort of working with the club, long time afterwards, and he sort of thanks me because I little inside ball, and he gets over the
sneaky
little
French
sneak
inside
little
ball.
right foot bang try time. So he owes me one.
So you started off the bench, and then the next year did you start the year in half?
Next year I was sort of in and out because Paul Green was a half, and Noel Goldthorpe. So I was sort of
he's a
sitting
coach now as well. It's
He's
crazy.
a coach, yeah. So he's doing some great things. So he
Oh,
was
mate,
up there. Yeah, what's that? Yeah, late 90s, early
Yep.
2000s.
Okay.
So
And what was the catalyst that took you to Brisbane Broncos? I mean, was it because the Brisbane Broncos were a side you always kind of grew up and admired, or just better opportunity there for you?
I guess it was sort of, it all started where I didn't, I was young, 18, 19, and I thought, I had a manager at the time, and I thought, I want to see if there's any other interest, because, I would have loved to have stayed at the Cowboys, and then after I was coming off contract, there was, a few people inside the club that were making it hard.
Oh, really?
So I'd walk after a game, and be, one of the directors did pull me aside, say, "Oh, when are you going to sign?" And it's like, man, talk to my manager.
Yeah.
So it was hard. It was very difficult, but it got to a stage where I was talking to clubs, and then once the Broncos come into it, like they sort of held out.
And you just boom.
Wayne Bennett called, and
The Wayne Bennett call.
mate, the
It's
Wayne
hard to
Bennett
say
call.
no.
Oh, exactly. And
there's not many people that have said no to the Wayne Bennett call.
yeah, and back then, I mean, under Wayne, when they wanted a player, mate, they always hit the mark. So he certainly got my vote. He said, "When do I fly down?" Bang.
Mate, and that was they went grand final 96.
Yep.
They were extremely dominant then too, weren't they?
Yeah.
Around that era, in the early 2000s, late.
Yeah, no, 2000 they won it.
Yeah.
So that's the year I signed. So I
Yep.
went and Cowboys picked up the wooden spoon. So literally went from the shit house to the penthouse in
and they were
6 weeks.
and they were also like financially the club with the sponsorship and,
it
completely different to Cowboys because they were just coming in the comp, didn't they?
Yeah. It was difficult to leave because it was through a period where, as a kid growing up in Mount Isa, I wanted to captain and obviously win a premiership, and they finally get one this year. So it was good.
But you did win a premiership. Did the Broncos? They didn't win one until 2006 after 2008.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're at the Broncos for I mean the team that you played at the Broncos. What was that like playing with guys that were literally probably some immortals in that side? Right?
Oh, it was unbelievable, and I think when I look back now, I was overawed by it. You know, as a 21-year-old getting thrown on the halfback, and you're looking to your left, and you tell them, Shane Webke what to do, and there's Gordy out there in the back row, Wendell on the wing.
20 or 19.
Yeah, 20, 21, turning 21, and
it's so young, man. It's so young, especially at the halfback position.
Yeah, exactly. So, when I look back now, it's funny, the old crystal ball. You wish you'd do a few things a little bit better, but yeah, it was a difficult time too because you sign with a club who's got some great players and regarded the best coach in the world, and geez, I had a rough period there, with injuries and the loss of my father.
Oh, really?
So it was very difficult in terms of some
a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah, it was really hard.
And do you think was when you did leave the club, because who was the halfback after you when you left? It was Brett Seymour.
Yeah, it was Brett Seymour. Buster Seymour was there.
Yeah, so when you did leave the club, there was a period there where you probably could have cemented a spot as a half there if you had maybe stayed 1 or 2 years. Did you ever look back on that and say maybe I should have stayed, or were you pretty happy to get out?
Yeah, no, it was difficult because like I was sort of in and out of first grade, very injury prone, like in terms of, you know, a little niggly, so I'd get back into the squad and I'd tear me hemi or something one of those ones, and it was at a time where Benny Icahn was a 5'8" Origin half, along with Sean Berrigan was playing halfback.
Yeah, okay.
And then they put a lot of time and effort into Brett Seymour, but it was sort of got to a period where once I agreed to sign with the Tigers, 2 weeks later Benny Icahn retires and a position opened up, so you know I'm scratching my head going,
but then you won a premiership.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I went to the Tigers. I mean, it's pretty well documented.
Yeah.
This is, you know, a club that, you know, I didn't really like in terms of, you know, every time I played them, Darren Senna was the hooker, used to just give it to me. You know, old Hopper was doing the old, you know, what's doing the Hoppy special. You know? So it was a team where I was like, ooh. But when I spoke to Tim, you know, Tim Sheens,
because you'd already been under Tim. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So
because he told me back then, he goes, you'll be playing for me another time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was sort of worked out. It was a bit of fate, I guess.
Yeah,
but he had really good young juniors coming through, and that was, I guess, the one thing that really sold it to me was, you know, the Marshalls, Farah, and then, you know, Liam Fulton, Bryce Gibbs. So there was some young crew coming through as well.
And when you did win that premiership, the year you guys won it, you literally changed the way the game was played. Was that a conscious effort by Tim Sheens, as in, or the team, or was it, we're going to have smaller forwards, we're going to get out front, we're going to quick play the balls, we're going to pick up the pace of the game? Was that a conscious effort by you guys, or?
Oh, I think it was more of the coaching style of Tim,
Yep.
and I mean, you know, with the hands of Royce Simmons as well. You know, he was a funny bugger. They sort of worked. You know, Tim was a bit serious. Royce was a little bit, a bit of a joke. Yeah, yin and yang. But in terms of the way we played, like Tim was really big on skill.
Yep.
And you know, you obviously have to have the players to, you know, to play his game.
So I don't know. Benji's like literally the two perfect halves for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And in terms of the forward pack as well, like we were pretty light on, like you said. But I think the rules also, because the wrestle wasn't really
didn't exist.
And I remember some of the wrestle sessions that we had. You know, we didn't have to do the grapple, and like you're dead set nowadays. You get home from training, your neck's sore, and you think,
it's ridiculous. It's crazy.
So I mean, remember the wrestle back then was just hold the jersey down with your thumb, and this was like Royce's little, you know, trained judo that he had, that he was. But it was obviously the rules suited us and the way we played, and we played accordingly. But it was a matter of letting the ball do the talk.
Yeah. Did you at the time? Did you grasp that you and Benji at your peak were probably one of the best half combinations to? You could even argue one of the best half combinations to ever play the game. You and Benji at your peak. Did you know that at the time? Did you realise how good you guys were together? Like,
yeah, it was. I guess when you sort of walk in, and like I've been to a couple of clubs prior to that, and when we first walked in, you know, we first sort of met each other for the very first time, and you just knew there was a chemistry.
Yep.
And I don't know whether it was the touch football background or not, but you know, we were definitely on the same wavelengths right from the get go, and that's a perfect thing. And then it was just a matter of building on that. But yeah, in terms of the way we played, you know, we were like brothers. You know, we would hang out off the field, but on the field we played and we had fun. You know, we could see some stuff that, you know,
maybe other people couldn't.
And I guess that helped as well. But yeah, I never really.
At the time.
Yeah, at the time we were just there doing our thing and having fun, and
because when you look at, like, when I look at it on paper, you would say, they're both flary halves. They'll never work together because you need one solid half and you need one flary half. So not on paper, but in my mind, I'd be like, they'll both be too flary for each other. If you know what I mean, they won't complement each other. But it was just like this perfect combination that. Honestly, the chemistry you had, I can't think of another halves pairing that was similar, like, at all. Like, you know what I mean? So it was good to watch.
Yeah, but as a half for me, like, I'd like to be the one that would control the forwards and get it to a position where would allow Benji to do his thing. Yep. And so any time that Benji wanted the ball, you know, he got the ball, and it was my job to put him in a position. Siri, even Siri's getting on board. Siri
loves Benji.
Siri loves Benji. So I just had to put him in a position for him
Yeah.
to do his thing, and don't worry, the forwards got a little bit frustrated when he was throwing cutout passes and hitting the girl on the row 3 in the grandstand.
But it was worth it.
But it was worth it. Like
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, when you got a player of his capabilities, and don't worry, we had a really good blend as well. We had Hodjo at the back, and obviously young Robbie at the time in that hooker. But yeah, you need a game break, and he was certainly one of those.
Man, he was electric. But I mean, you both were. It was such a dramatic change in the game. I remember, obviously, what was it, 2005 that you won?
Yeah.
2005, and I was just in the Broncos the first grade squad, I'm pretty sure, or in the reserve grade squad or whatever. But it was like this drastic. People were like trying to figure out how to stop the Tigers, and it was this constant conversation of like when you played the Tigers, it was, how do we stop their roll on is so fast and so quick, and then on top of that, they're coming at you with two halves that can like literally tear the game apart. It was such a since then, the only other thing I can think of that's been as drastic change in the game would probably be Melbourne bringing in the wrestle.
Yeah,
that's the only other thing I can, and that's what probably ended the fast speed, even though it's coming back now.
Yeah, I guess in terms of the way we play, like we were fit. You know, like you said, we had a lot on forwards, skillful. Toddy Payton, you know, one of the
good ball play.
Oh, good. Johnny Skandalis was probably, you know, with all due respect, was a straight up and down, but even he was starting to develop a pass and do his spin off the take, you know, the hit ups and so on. But we were fit, and the forwards, they worked as a pack defensively.
Yep.
That's where I thought we were probably going to be our downfall. The way we played, when you play an expensive game of footy, you have to be fit, and if it doesn't come off, you're gonna have to tackle. So that was certainly one of my weakest part of my game. But yeah, you had to be fit, and I just think, you know, we needed luck, and we certainly got that. But at the end of the day, we had fun, and that was a big thing for us.
I haven't really seen it as entertaining brand of footy since, really, because it's just that the wrestlers just killed that. But so the grand final, that moment, I mean, when you think about that, what goes through your head? Like, tell us what's going through your head. Scott Prince, you're leading this side. You're an extremely young side, extremely small on size. So, you know, obviously that's a factor. When you're running onto that grand final week, and when you're running to that field, what's going through your head?
Well, in the lead up, I didn't know what to think. You know, we got it to a point where, you know, the toughest game for me, and even throughout my career, the hardest club game was that game against St George in that prelim.
Oh, really?
Like I played, you know, 10 years after that, it was still the toughest game that I played at club level.
Back then,
mate, they had this, you know, the Trent Barretts, and had guns that were representing Australia at the time, and they were at the top of their tree, and top of their game. But it was a difficult week. I was sort of, you know, you have nights where you'd always think about the game. I was nervous as buggery. Even the grand final breakfast, I didn't eat anything. I was too scared I was going to do number 2s up there. But even like I just felt really nervous and so on. So people talk about, you know, the grand final week is the best week of their footy career. For me, it was horrendous. It was bad, and it wasn't until I crossed that white line to, you know, when we're running out to play the game, that I felt calm. You know, I felt like we were ready, and even in the preparation for that game, you know, there was one man, and that was Paddy Richards, who hurt his ankle in the game previously against the Dragons, and he come in and had all the fitness tests. I think he had about 400 needles punched into him into that ankle, and he got through that fitness test, and he come in, and all the boys were just waiting. He goes, "Yeah, I got through." And mate, that feeling, was like the last piece of the puzzle that I thought. I just thought we're not going to lose.
Oh, really? So you're that confident?
Oh, I wasn't that confident, but it was just a sense of relief.
That feeling,
Yeah, and you go, doesn't matter what situation we're in. Yep. We knew that we had it covered, you know. So, and that's a good feeling to have. Oh yeah. But for myself and even just with the game, how it unfolded, like we never, you know, the Cowboys were a team that you never fell asleep. You know, they had the striking ability of, you know, with JT and Matty Bowen in it. I mean,
Bowen at his peak too.
Yeah, you had to be on for the full 80, and but even after that win, you know, we did the lap, and I'm not too sure if you've got a photo. I'm sure you can dig it up.
I'll dig it up.
I know you love the research. You know, the boys, you know, with their family, and I just took a moment, you know, kneel down and grab some of the grass, and you know, as I said, I lost my father in 2001, and he's always been my sort of biggest critic, but also my biggest supporter. and just shared a moment, just thinking of him and saying
was that like did it kind of time stop for you in that moment?
Oh yeah. So everything around it just felt like me, the stadium by myself, and him, and just that special moment. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, unbelievable.
And then when you're walking off, after the grand final, and you've had that moment. I mean, trying to put into words, what's that feeling like of winning a GF? What's that? What can you describe to me? You've reached literally the goal of a lifetime. You know what I mean? That's someone's lifetime goal, and you've done it. What was that feeling like?
Oh, yeah. At the time, you don't really think much of it. You're just there with your family. That I think they're more happy than you are because they're like,
Yeah.
Probably drank 12, 14 beers before you get to them, but they were pumped, and you sit back, and I think it was just more relief. It's sort of like the pressure, the sleep.
Yep.
And I'm sitting down. I remember we went back to West Ashfield. We said get out of the supporters there, had a bit of a drink there, and then we jumped back on the bus and we went to Leichhardt. They closed down. What's the main highway there, or the main road? Is it Victoria Road?
Oh,
no,
man,
one of them there, right next to the Balmain Leagues Club. We went out, and the crowd was going crazy, and then we ducked back in, and just sitting down was only sort of family only, and just sat down on the couch, and Benji's got his ring. He sat on my lap, and I think there's another photo of that, and we're just sitting down. I thought, thank God,
tastes so good.
Tastes so good, but thank God we won. So I didn't come home for 3 days, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, most of the guys went for a month. I think Robbie Farah put 9 kilos on. He had to duck in the Woolies to grab some spare undies and that's on. But for me, it was sort of those ones where, like at the time, I don't think I enjoyed it and really ripped in and really appreciated what we did.
Yep.
And until now, you look back and it's like, geez, they were good moments.
Yep.
But yeah, so I actually, got named in that the Kangaroo Tour to go to England.
So even on top of that win, you get that as well.
Yeah, I got that as well, which I was stoked about. But I'm training under Billy Johnson. The first time I was under him.
If just for the people that are listening, Billy Johnson has a reputation as one of the toughest trainers to ever have trained NRL.
Yeah,
and just old school.
And what made it worse, Kempy, was that he was the trainer for the Cowboys, so he hated me. Okay. So when I walked into the camp, he was like, okay, we'll see how you go. And
you left him and you beat him in the finals.
Exactly. And the thing was, through our, I guess, the 3 years I was there, like, weights were a social event for myself, Benji, and Hodjo. We'd go there and, we'd look around, all the forwards and the backs, the outside backs were working hard, and me and Benji would like lifting and going. So we'd go out the side door and grab a protein drink, and we'd talk about the weekend. So we didn't really lift weights in terms of what they do now. Back then,
Far out, that's crazy. It just like it's that old school mentality of like footy is footy, and everything else after that is not as important as actually just playing footy.
Oh mate, that's it, and for me, Brett Hodgson typifies that. Like, he's a lovely man. I still talk to him.
He could be a jockey.
Yeah, he could be a jockey. Probably the worst body I've seen in rugby league. There's no doubting that. But in terms of a footballer, freak.
Just knew
and
it.
Tough.
Just bro.
Yeah.
So tough. So small and so tough. And just like, it's just like, especially like a lot of the Kiwis and Indigenous, he's probably the only white fella that has a similar Indigenous instinct on a footy field.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's something as well that I try to explain to people that maybe aren't as clued up in footy. The Indigenous kids just have this instinct, and I don't know, you can't explain it, you can't train it. They just have it. It's same with the Kiwi boys as well. Yeah. And it's so like, and to have you and Benji in the halves, that obviously that instinct showed when you was playing, because it was good footy, such entertaining footy, bro. I loved watching every second of it. Okay, so moving forward, the next year you got it kind of like the wrestle. Do you think the wrestle was what kind of stopped the Tigers' kind of dominance, or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and we were pretty fortunate. 05 injury for us was a key factor, and that's been the constant thing. If you're able to get your starting team through a full season, you're on the right track, and give you a chance to win the big one. But yeah, for us, we sort of struggled with injury. I think Benji did his shoulder. He sort of missed long periods. Yep. Brett Hodgson was busted with a knee, so it was difficult. And at the time, even for myself, like in lead up to 2006, I agreed and signed with the Titans.
Yeah. So what was that after the win? What was after winning the GF, and like, what motivated that? Was it a new challenge? Was there stuff going on at the club? Was what motivated that?
Well, for me, I wanted to go home. Like, I wanted to go back to Queensland, and at the time, I signed with the Tigers for 3 years, and I said to my wife that whatever happens for 3 years, we were going to come back.
Okay.
And I didn't sort of know on some of the. Obviously, we had a really good period down there in terms of the footy, the premiership, and I look back now. If there was one regret, and I don't have any, but if there was one, it would have to say that I would have loved to stay at the Tigers and spent a long period there with obviously Benji in the halves. So it would have been fantastic. But yeah, it was just one of those things where I just wanted to go back to Queensland, and I spoke to the Bronx, and I really wanted to go back to the Cowboys. That was certainly my ultimate, because I had a block of land pretty much right across the road from the Cowboys. Would have been nice to build a home there and just walk.
You and Thurston, that would have been good. That would have been a good combination.
Oh mate, it was just one of those things where I spoke to Peter Parra at the time, and he told me that he signed Brett Furman for another 2 years, and that was the way they were going. And so I wanted to go back, and the only club, I guess, was the Titans, but also the opportunity to
build a club.
Yeah, to be part of something, a new franchise was definitely a selling point as well.
So you went to the Titans. I mean, the pressure would have been immense. Like, you're going to a new club, you're the star halfback. You were their main signing, I bet, essentially, weren't you? Like, as in their marquee kind of signing when you went there? Luke Bailey, was it? Yeah,
Bales was there. Preston Campbell also came back, because that's sort of where he started at the Chargers. So we had like a lot of guys who had families, settled off the field, went up, and there's probably you look across probably 4 or 5 that have played the game for a long period of time as well. So we had a good nucleus to start it up, but for us it was brand new, and there was sort of, I guess, no expectation in terms of where to finish. So it was just a nice fresh start. Billy Johnson was there, head trainer, so we knew that we were coming here and it wasn't going to be a holiday.
Oh man!
So it was one thing was guaranteed, I guess, was we we're going to be fit. But all the boys appreciated it, and I guess for one, it gave other guys who were fringes a chance to get a run on spot.
That's very, very true. And so when you got there, what was the preseason like? Was it different? Oh, it was obviously Billy Johnson's, hectic, but was it weird not dealing with a pressure of having to be any position? Like, no one said that the Gold Coast Titans have to finish here or have to finish there. Like, when you're at the Broncos, you've got to finish top 4 no matter what. When you're at the Tigers, you've got to finish top 8 or no matter what. Was it weird not having that? Or
it was weird, but it was also exciting as well, because refreshing, and we didn't know an opportunity to play. It was like going into a rep team, but you're sticking with the guys for pre-season and for the whole year.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
new guys, had to meet them. You sort of get used to the way they played, find out who had what it took to make the team. So it was really testing as well, and it really not only testing yourself, but showing the others what you're capable of, and you know what I mean. And, but yet still working inside the guidelines of creating a team, team environment. But yeah, it was great. It was good. Obviously, the Gold Coast community was very welcoming, and
not a bad place to live. Man.
Not a bad place to live, even though I can't surf. Almost got caught in a rip down at Kurrawa. But so it was great. Like, I remember when I signed, I come up here in 2008. And I remember seeing a couple of young kids, in fact, walk through the Robina Town Centre and having a Gold Coast T-shirt on, and the first of many. It would have been one of the first sold here, I'd imagine, and thinking, this is a club and this is something I want to be part of, a culture, and build something special that would live on.
Definitely. And so those first few years, I mean, you actually did better than a lot of critics expected you to do. Was that you wouldn't compare it to a grand final win, but as in, was it satisfying to know that you came to a club, it didn't flop, you didn't just get towed up every week like some people were saying that was going to happen? Was that satisfying for you? And do you feel like it has been appreciated as much as, not as many people say, they don't look back and go, you know what, for Titans to come into the comp, and you came 11th your first year?
Yeah.
11th, something like that? That's a huge feat, huge feat. Was that satisfying?
It was great, and it sort of didn't really surprise me in the fact of the team that we had. like I said, the nucleus was great. Matty Rogers was there,
Yeah.
but just the way we trained, like I knew that under Bill, we were going to be fit, and we come out of the block. So each year, we were a lot fitter than most teams, and that's where we picked up our points early. But the fact that we sort of ran out of legs towards the back end of the year was one of those things. But
the same problem the Cowboys had when he was fitness coach. They would run out of legs.
So like I knew that for a team to beat us, they had to compete for the full 80. And that was one thing that we backed ourselves on, was our fitness and that our competitiveness. That when we played a team, they would have had to play for the full 80 because we would keep on coming. And that's one thing, I guess, in recent times with the Titans now, is that, it's hard for the community to understand, is that, that it's almost like they're not competing. So, but back then, that was what we were respected on. And we also had, community love, like Preston Campbell. I enjoyed playing alongside him, but it was one of those things that, it didn't really surprise me.
Because when you look at the Titans team now, I mean, you got like Hoffman, he's a great player, but you definitely don't have players of your caliber, Preston Campbell's caliber, Luke Bailey. You know what I mean? They've lost that kind of that nucleus of experienced vets. Got Nate Miles. He just signed, didn't he sign with Manly?
Yeah, he just moved over to Manly.
It's going to be a massive loss for them. So those few years, obviously, it was really enjoyable. It seemed like you had really, really good few years there, and then some controversy and turmoil started happening. I don't know how much the media played it up, but was it as dramatic as they made it out when you did leave?
Oh, yeah, it was difficult at the time because it was one of those things where I didn't want to go. I didn't want to leave. I bought the house, built the house because I had to knock it down. Had the family, kids are at a good school. We went over to Vegas on an end-of-season trip in 2011. We got back and I had 2 years left. I had one guaranteed, and the last year was optional. And
in your favour or their favour?
No, their favour. So I was told that they weren't going to take that up, and I thought, no, that's fine. I'll have to prove myself in that following year. So I was looking back thinking, I'm going to work my backside off. And I'd back myself to get either another deal here, or I'd have to either move or probably retire. So I got back, and then in the paper, it was printed that I wanted to get out and I wanted to go to the Super League.
Oh, really?
On this big money, and I'm thinking, what's going on here?
Oh, okay, so
had sort of no idea. So I sort of went underground for a bit, didn't talk to anyone. I was having camera crews. Oh, it was unbelievable. So I just didn't know who to trust. I didn't know who to trust, and the most difficult part was that I didn't hear from the coach or anyone to call me to say, mate, we know what's going on. We want you to stay. Or don't worry about it. I want to get back or whatever. I'll talk to you. Come in, and that's the way I sort of wanted it. But it didn't happen. So
no one called you.
No one called me within
explain anything.
2-3 weeks from the club. So in 3 weeks, I guess, I thought, well, it's probably true. They obviously don't want me to play here. So, and when I had thought, well, where is this contract? This deal that everyone's talking about. So Peter Gentle and Sean McRae were the coach and the recruitment officer for Hull FC. So they were on a cruise, so around the Mediterranean. So the only time they could get service was back on land through Wi-Fi. So anyway, after 3 weeks, we finally got this deal and walking through it, thinking, if it was big money, don't worry, I would have gone. I would have jumped on the plane like that. Don't worry about me, But it wasn't, it's not, the money's not what it used to be over there in the UK. So I looked at it. I was probably 2-3 days of signing. And then I got a phone call from the Bronx, and they said, we don't know what's happening down there, and we don't want to know, but would you be interested in coming back to the club and finishing your career here? So I jumped at the chance, and that allowed me again just to stay on the coast. The kids were, at the school that they wanted to be at, and I would just do the commute.
And so, did you ever get to sit down with the Gold Coast board and say, boys, like after everything I've done, can I at least speak to you about what's going on here?
Yeah, and that was a difficult thing. So for me, I look back now, that's sort of the hard pill to swallow, was the fact that if there was an issue, whether it was, whether they had to offload some players because of age and because of the salary.
Yeah.
I would have loved, and I'm
You
sure
sit down
they'd
and talk about
just
it.
sit down and talk.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
close the doors and say, right, Prince, you've got 2 years, or potentially 1 year left.
Yep.
We're going to have to offload you. We looked along the age, and
Yep.
you're probably one of the oldest in the team.
Yep.
And we probably don't, at least show me the respect.
Yeah.
I wasn't an 18-year-old. I was, the club captain.
You'd played 250, 60 games by then?
Yeah. So I thought, well, and that would have just taken a conversation. Would have been hard.
Yeah.
But I would have respected it.
You're a professional athlete. You know these things happen.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. So, and then from that point, it's either we can, maybe look to help you find another club, or help you assist to go overseas. And these are our options.
Yep.
That would have been probably the way to go. But the way it was a bitter pill to swallow.
And just for people that are listening, what you may not know as an NRL fan is if a club wants to get rid of you, what they'll do is they'll put shit out in the paper like such and such wants to go here, or there's a contract. So they'll make a story up that forces your hand. So, for example, what happened with you? So it forced your hand to do something. Whereas so they take the power out of the player's hand and they'll put out like a leaked rumour that you're keen on going to England, which forces you to make your decision about next year, even though you had a contract for the next year, and that's what clubs do, and a lot of people don't understand that that's how clubs push players out without actually. They say to the media, "Oh yeah, we still want him to we want him to stay," but then they'll release this leaked information that apparently you want to leave, and it's a forcing of the player's hand that no one really sees.
Yeah, it's difficult. Now I guess probably the example, the most recent example now would be the Robbie Farah situation.
So it is a bit.
Yeah. So it's sort of like he's on a reasonable deal. He's a current New South Wales hooker, and a club
sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty silly, but they make it that hard that especially when they start pulling the old we'll put you in reserve grade for the rest of your career. That's terrible.
But what's with what I don't get is like how can they come out and say those things legally? Like, I mean, to come out and you've got Robbie Farah, who has literally been a freaking gentleman of the game. Like, he has not put a foot wrong and always given his blood, sweat and tears for that club. And then they come out and say, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to put you in reserve grade. And yet when, for example, you look at a guy like Chris Sandow, who came out, he didn't even really say anything negative about the club. He said something that could be implied as negative, and as soon as he said it, boom, he was in the wrong, he was in trouble. And yet clubs always come out and second-guess their players, say something negative about their players. And I thought, fuck, does my head in, bro. Does my head in. Poor Robbie.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, like I said, I wasn't the first, and certainly won't be the last, but it's just the way it is at the moment.
And when you did go to the Broncos, was it cool to be able to come full circle? Was that a good experience?
Yeah, it was great. It was weird in a sense, because when I went there as a kid, like 2001, 21 to 23, to see the old heads of the game, the Webkeys and so on, and to go there now and see the young boys, I think you signed as well.
Yeah, I signed as well. I came back out of retirement.
Yeah. So and then you just see the Corey Normans and the Jack Reeds,
and you're the big player that they're looking up to, and that'd be weird for you because you're the Webkey of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even just the being in the club, it sort of still had a facelift, but the thing that I was more impressed with, that the bones were still there, the old
definitely
that Broncos, like the ghost of the Broncos was still there. It's just a matter of filtering and finding that. Where I think with Wayne that's gone back there, he sort of unearthed that again and
definitely
brought that Broncos feel and what it means to be a Bronco back to that club.
That excellence that the Broncos kind of has.
Yeah. So you would have, I guess, felt that experience
100%.
as well. And so looking back then, when we used to have diaries and writing, now we're walking around with iPads. It's crazy,
so weird. How weird was that? iPads, and you got your schedule sent to you and stuff, and it's reminders and all this shit. Back in the day, you got a piece of paper.
Exactly.
And it's all crumpled and shitty in the bottom of your preseason back, and you whip it out and be like, oh, fuck, I got massage at 11:30.
Yeah, and what I remember. You look back, and Andrew G and Shane Webke were telling Corey Parker to go and make him a coffee. And as Corey, the young rookie, he'd go and make him a coffee, to the old boys. But now
he's a big dog.
Now he's a big dog. Josh Maguire, go make me a coffee. He turned around and said, get rooted. You know, it's
different generation.
Oh,
different
mate,
generation,
that's, you know, generation
I was
Y.
saying, who was I speaking to? Who was I speaking to where I, speaking to someone recently, and I was like, man, I got bullied for 3 years and no one spoke to me when I came into the club. And these days, the kids that come in are doing the bullying.
Exactly.
And like, the old heads are all chilled out and relaxed. Whereas when I came in, bro, literally, most of the first graders didn't even speak to me. They just, until I earned their respect on the field or whatever, they didn't want to bar me because they said, well, that like the way they thought was, unless you're going to come in here and be a part of what we believe in, then we don't need you here. Like,
exactly. You sort of had to earn your stripes.
Oh, mate, 100%. I swear to God, I reckon I didn't speak to Cozza for 2 years, and then I made the first.
It's like, who are you? I'm down.
The first time he spoke to me was when I was probably outside him on the field in first grade. He was like, how'd you get on the field? You're a Resi. Bro, I swear to God.
That's funny.
But then when he spoke to me, he had respect for me and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was a different environment, man. So different.
It's hard.
So now, Scotty Prince, 300 games. You're looking back on it. What would you? I mean, do you ever sit back and go, you're just a young kid from North Queensland, you played 300 NRL games, literally the 0.0001% of people get to do that. What does that feel for you? Like, how does that feel for you?
Well, for me, it's I don't know. I've been pretty lucky. You know, there was a period there where I never thought I'd play 50 NRL games, and to play 300, and with some of the stuff, you know, in terms of injury and so on that I went through, to finally, I guess. You know, you don't set out to achieve 300 games, but, you know, just through your career, the ups and downs of... And it certainly built, I guess, and played a role in the way I guess it shaped me as a person. But the most important thing is I never lost sight on where I come from. You know, like I visit home quite regularly, and some of the stuff that I do now through Deadly Sports programs, the Deadly Choices, the stuff I do with Dave Hartley, the books, the Little Leaguey stuff is... It is a way where I feel like I've got a responsibility in the community, but also to the game of rugby league. It's given me so much, and and it allows me to I guess use my profile that I've built over the years to give back and to change someone's person's life or inspire someone to achieve their dream, and that's where I feel now. It's just sort of like one of those things that, you know, when we talked about it, when you finish your career, it's sort of like, what's my purpose? So, now I feel if I can just spend some time with a kid, or allow him to read a book, or join the Little Leaguey stuff that we do, you know, now I just think, I'm happy to do that. You know, it never ends for me, you know, and that's the thing, whether, you know, you've played the game for, whether it's one game or 300 or 400, which I'm sure some of the guys will be on the verge of doing now. You will always be a rugby league player.
That's very true.
You know what I mean? Like, whether you do good, in the paper they'll say former rugby league player. Whether you do bad, they'll say former rugby league player. So right, you always be a rugby league player.
Yeah, that's very true, and you can't escape that.
You can't.
So
that's
you
part
should
of you.
Pretty much embrace it. Yeah,
exactly.
It's very true. Very, very true. We actually got some fan questions, bruh. Some these are like a little.
Do you just make these up?
Yeah, I just made these up. I'm going to hit you with all the hardest questions that I can find.
Exactly.
And I'm going to put the blame on other people and say, I didn't ask this, bro. Come on, man.
So this is from Instagram, Twitter?
This is from David Smith 21. What happened in this? 300 games, man. Like, I mean, especially like because you were pretty injury prone. So like, it's not like you had this smooth sailing. Like for example, you look at a guy like, not that he had smooth sailing, but Lockyer, he wasn't very injury prone, so like he got those, you know, what did he get, 333 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Whereas yourself, you were injury prone at the start of your career. So, man.
So with some of them now, I mean, you look at Cameron Smith. I think he's sort of been pretty fortunate. I think he had an elbow injury a couple of years ago.
That's about it. Yeah.
Corey Parker's he's just like a fine wine.
Mate, I love every second of him on that field.
Yeah.
He just proves that like mental toughness is such an important factor, because surely his body's about to fall apart.
Well, towards the end, I think this year was sort of strapping both knees, but
bro,
just that constant. Well, he's learned to deal with pain, and you get guys that if they've got like a niggle, they go, oh no, it's the end of the world. I'm done.
Mate, I love watching him play, and he's lit. I can't understand how he's getting better. Like, he's getting better and better and better and better.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah. And he's like, what also that I don't know if other people have noticed it, but he's constantly evolved and changed as the game has kind of changed.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas like a lot of players, they have their certain thing and that's what they do. Whereas Cozza, he used to be like more of a just hit him up forward. Then he add a bit of passing on. Then he's got his calls it hit and spin.
Yeah,
He'll be spinning his way to the
and loves the offload. I think the super coach has really helped him. It's really
he's
trying to get most points out there. That's
Do you
what
reckon
he's
got his own like fake little account that like is under someone else's name? He's just making massive cash off himself.
Yeah. So he's just trying. I think he was offloading for the sake of offloading at one stage, so like just to get his numbers up.
Offload and then getting the ball back off something. All right. I swear to God I haven't read these questions because I like to read them with the player because it's funny because some of them are actually pretty funny.
Okay.
As like the first one that I just read then.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how hard did Benji's flick give you in the 05 grand final?
How hard?
How hard did you get when Benji flicked past you?
Oh wow. Well, at the time, I think.
What were you thinking actually in that moment?
My backside was hanging out. It was sort of just before half time. And like the Cowboys were on a bit of a roll. I remember JT kicking the ball down. I thought, oh, here we go, another set coming out of trouble.
Yep.
I'm looking at the clock, thinking, oh, we just need to complete. Let's just find field position.
Yep.
And then, I think Hodjo, passed Benji the ball. He got taken out by Travis Norton.
Yep.
And there was obviously a man out of the line.
So where were you standing at the moment?
I was on the far side, so I'm over on the right, sort of running back.
So you're on the wings like this, hiding.
Oh mate, I was blowing diesel.
Get in and do some tackles.
Yeah. Get over there, help out. And then Benji cut through.
Yep.
I started jogging, thinking, oh, okay.
Yep.
And then he was on the far side. And he's done this mad flick pass, but I remember thinking, yeah.
So when he did, what was your angle like, and when you actually saw it happen, what were you thinking? You were like, don't flick it, like shit, or you just like, that's Benji.
Mate, yeah, that's Benji. You see that, like that's the thing with Benji. You'd see him do stuff at training that you think, oh my god,
how did he do
and that was Tim's. That was the way he coached. So if you could do it at training and practice at training, he couldn't. If you could pull it off in the game, it'd be fine. Yep. But the thing that really annoyed him was the fact that if you didn't flick past that train and you try to do it on the field, he'd be like, mate, I haven't seen you do that, so don't do it on the field.
Yeah.
While you're playing. But we'd see stuff that you'd make a highlight reel of the stuff that he used to do at training. So it wasn't a massive surprise, but the fact that it was in the grand final, like the enormity of that,
and you've got the pressure of the world on you, and you're throwing flick passes like this or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know what else with that's Pat Richards
to catch it,
and then to fend the guy for about 20 metres.
Yeah.
Literally hold his head like that.
Yeah. But if you look back, that Roddy Jensen, he did a tackle I think the week before or the week, like 2 weeks prior.
Yep.
He did a tackle where he come across, beautiful cover
tackle,
defenders. I can't even remember who it was against, but he took this player out. And it was a perfect scenario. So that point was in slow motion for me, thinking, oh,
he's going to get him.
He's going to get him, and he just went bang, and he got it.
Boom,
try.
Massive fend.
Yeah.
And then you're whooping up. All of a sudden, you weren't tired anymore.
Yeah, no, I was bugging.
Still bugging.
I was looking at the clock, going, oh, yeah, another minute to go.
All right, we got. That's it. My grade 7 teacher said he used to teach Scott Prince when he lived in Mount Isa. Ask him if he remembers Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith.
His first name was Lindsay.
Lindsay Smith.
Someone's telling Porkies.
No,
Curly Jeff. His name's
mate,
Curly Jeff.
I have had a few head knocks since then. So. Yeah. Mr. Smith. Where are you getting these questions from?
Reddit.
Hey?
Reddit. It's like a forum online.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Nice.
So I keep it to there because I don't want to go on Facebook or Twitter because I'll get too many questions. I want to keep it like smaller, otherwise we'll be here for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Who was the best at getting you motivated before the game?
Best to get me motivated. I mean, you sort of if you're playing the game, so you want to win. So winning is obviously the motivation. Yeah. But in terms of someone close would have to be my brother. My brother sort of took that role of my father of saying,
biggest fan, biggest critic.
Yeah. So he'd say, well, why didn't you work on this? But
and
it'd always be negative with my brother, so he'd be ringing me every night. Exactly.
When the grand final, he's like, you should have played better.
Like, yeah. So he'd ring me, and I'll be just going, oh my god, I hate negative people, so don't ring me. But it was enough because it always. Be in the back of my mind thinking, oh, geez,
maybe he's got a little bit of a point there.
Yeah. So that's the thing. My brother's very honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't want to hear stuff, but he'll just hit it right on the head.
Especially a player as good as yourself, you would have needed that little bit of someone saying, Because like you would have heard thousands of people going, Princey, you're the man, rah, you need that little someone just to go. Hey, just
Yeah, he
do
certainly
that."
took that role. He took it well
He
too,
certainly took
and
that
still doing it today, mind you. Because now we play touch footy together,
Oh no!
and we're like constantly, we're dead set having like a brawl on the field, like the opposition going, look at these two.
that's hilarious. When you used to have a gig on the Today Show, did you ever have a beer with Karl Stefanovic? Does he actually know anything about league?
Yeah, he loves it. Yeah,
Really?
he's a good man. So off air,
he's just so funny, man.
off air, he is hilarious.
Really?
So some of the you can't really say, but
Yeah.
no, he's a very good man. He's a Cairns boy, so he's
Yep.
he's really good mates with one of our like a mutual friend.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Very laid back. Yeah, champion bloke.
Yep.
And what you see on TV is
Is what
definitely
he's really like.
Yeah.
I think he's too good to fake that. He's too
No.
good at what he does and funny and hilarious. And,
Yeah.
charismatic. To be able to fake that, it would be hard to fake.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's being himself, and that's
People
the beauty
love it.
about it. People
Yeah.
love it.
Oh,
Yeah,
mate,
so he's
100%.
great.
How did you find your time at West Tigers? Did you leave on negative terms at all? Was it were they a bit frustrated with you that you just wanted GF and you wanted to leave, or were they like they understood that you wanted to leave?
No,
After
it was,
3
yeah.
years.
No, I don't know. I mean, I think they were respectful with the
Yep.
fact that I wanted to go home.
Yep.
But it would have been sort of frustrating. But I mean, we sort of touched on it. Was that if a player wants to leave, it's seen as unloyal.
Yeah.
Could be seen as being unloyal. But if a club wants to get rid of you, it's sort of that's business.
Yeah. Oh, that's business.
But as you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
But your contract was up. You didn't leave in mid-contract or anything.
no, I wanted to play out my full term, but I didn't want the contract saga. I guess is probably a word you could use throughout 2006. I wanted it to get
done.
sorted. It's done and dusted. I know where I'm going. You guys know where I'm going.
That's very true.
Let's get this year
Give
underway.
them time to find someone else.
Yeah,
as well.
let's do it.
Yeah, that's very true. Why did you not call your firstborn Nigerian?
Nigerian friends.
Like Nigerian prince, like he's a Nigerian prince.
Right.
Oh mate, they're throwing. There's some I can't even read it there. There's one guy says in all caps locks, "I love you, Princey."
Oh, that's nice.
What was it? This is a good question actually. What was it? Was it frustrating having Lockie and JT in around the same time you were in your prime? Any other era where you wouldn't have Lockie and JT, where you were literally on your day just as good as both of them. Was it frustrating with being behind them in Origin?
Yeah, it was difficult. Especially when
JT, what a lot of people forget is don't get me wrong. I'm going to get a lot of heat for this. Thurston is unbelievably good. He's a future model. There were a time when he did have bad years that weren't as good as he is at the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there were times when you were actually knocking on the door, maybe even playing better footy than JT. So was that frustrating for you?
Yeah, it was a bit. I have to be honest. You're in there and you think, well, what else can you do to make these teams? But I guess and when you look at it, sort of that's why Queensland are so dominant. In terms of being loyal to their player.
Yes.
But yet, and then swapping and changing halves, especially at that level.
Yep.
You need that sort of that factor or that partnership and combination that will work and stick with. But I sort of, I guess, as later on, 2008, even when I was 30 in year 2010. I felt like I was playing some good footy, and that thing. Well, I was sort of if I'm playing good football, I'm only going to push those guys to play good footy, and that's only going to benefit Queensland and Australia. So as long as I'm playing well, just keep them biting at the heels. That's going to make them play their game, be at the top of their game, and then
whatever. Yeah, because I was going to say, did you ever look at it in the fact that it was kind of a personal sacrifice for the benefit of the Queensland team? As in, you could sit there and look at it like, man, I should be getting a shot, or you could look at it like, maybe I've just got to. I mean, it's a hard thing.
It's tough.
It is tough, man. Because you want to play, but you want the Queensland to win. So.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing
is, who says Queensland couldn't have won without you? Because you did win in 2005.
Yeah, 2008 we won, and I was a part of that.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, and then I look back on and think, well, hang on, at least I've played Origin.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I've got to be
Yep.
appreciative of the fact that I have played 5, and I could have at least easily gone through my career without playing any. You know, so. I've got to appreciate that, and still,
because
respect.
You were literally you're behind, not even behind. In any other scenario, you had the best Queensland team probably best team to ever play the game, I reckon.
Mm.
So that would have been like so frustrating because you would have loved seeing them win, but you've also been like, you know, I have the ability to slot in there and do just as well.
Well, my question, I have to agree, but my question is, if I lived in Penrith for 3 years, does that classify me as a resident to New South Wales? So I could have played for New South Wales for that period. I was so close to giving them a call.
Oh, really?
No?
I'll make a headline. Prince actually wanted to play for New South Wales.
Oh, wow. Geez, I would like to, I mean, even through that period, I'm not too sure if you've got stats or what. I'd like to have seen, like, you know, I know it's a team game. And
Yeah.
like the Prince versus Thurston, what would be the percentage on the win? Who would take that?
Yeah, that actually would be good.
Yeah.
We would take that.
He'd be 90, I'd be 10. 90% chance. Oh, no, to bring that up. Only if it's in my favour.
Yeah, I'll get it up and I'll. It's like 99 and 1.
Yeah, exactly.
No, because you made your Origin debut 2004.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And in New South Wales won that year.
Yeah. So that was the year, especially game one, was like, you know, the hoodoo of Queensland couldn't win down at ANZ Stadium.
Yep.
And even in that game, I think Sean Timmins slots a field goal from about 30,
actually
40 out,
show
and just heartbreaking. And then, but even we played, so we won 2000 and game 2, and then obviously lost game 3.
Yep.
But there's only 2 players that were dropped from that actual squad. Then that's when JT and they come in was myself and Reece Wesser, and
really?
we were actually roommates in that series. So I'm thinking back now, thinking whether he stole something from that room, whether he stole a pillow or something.
Yeah, he's stolen it.
He's stolen something. Reece stole something, and both of us got the blame, you know. So we got the chop. Never mind. Love you, Reece. You know. I love you.
Yeah, because a lot of people. I mean, that would have been so frustrating because you could have put you or Thursto in there at that time, and I reckon you still would have been just as dominant in Queensland. But in saying that, like to watch Queensland go on and win 8, like,
yeah,
you know, it's like, fuck,
it's
a tough spot.
I was just very happy to get an opportunity, I guess.
Yeah.
Whether it was due through injury, but the fact that is the matter is, and it's like anything in life, is you got to be ready for the opportunity that presents itself. And if you're not ready, you know, you're going to struggle. But that was the thing.
2005, you won the comp.
Yeah,
and you got dropped. Did you say you got dropped that year?
Dropped from Origin. Yeah.
Fuck, that's got to be frustrating. You've been like, come on, man, I want a comp. I'm winning a comp. I'm on top of the table.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you know, things happen for a reason. So
very true.
Even through that year, I think there was only Scando, probably one other that made the City Country.
Okay.
So that was only our own representation that year. So, you know, all the guys, we never had any Origin players.
That's
so it
crazy,
sort of kept us together. So
might have been better for you.
Yeah, exactly. In the long run,
you might not have won the premiership if you were all the way at Origin, tired from the. Okay.
Yeah. So
you got to look at all that.
Yeah. So I'll take an NRL premiership.
I would 100% too. 100%.
Yeah.
How close were you to signing with South? Rumours were rife that it was almost a done deal, but it never happened.
No, never
happened.
spoke to South. Yeah.
And his name is Intelligent Comment. That wasn't very intelligent. Just what was the environment like when the Titans were first introduced to the NRL, and do you think the club got the support they needed being so young?
Yeah, the feeling was great. Like anything, we had, you know, on the verge of having that new stadium built too. So 2007, new in the comp. 2008, Skill Park was built.
Great.
So it was great support early, and then obviously, you know, through the period of, you know, the centre and some of the, I guess, the darkest times of the Titans. You know, copped a bit of a hammering here, but it's only going to take time before the community again gets
What was that
engaged.
like? The time when it was like all the court cases and money was over. Were you still at the club then, or were you at the Bronx then?
With the centre?
Yeah, centre.
No, I was still at the club. So it was very difficult. So we're actually in the centre. Then we had to move. So we're sort of based out of training facilities all over the Gold
really?
Coast. So it was difficult from the players, but it sort of didn't, I guess, interfere. I mean, 2010, even right in that, we were one game away from playing the grand final. So
it's crazy, man.
Yeah, so we're
might
pretty
have
resilient.
Us together. Yeah,
we were pretty resilient as a team and as a club.
You've already answered that. Who did you play for in Mount Isa? How did you get noticed there?
Played for Town Town Lions, which also known as Townies. So I started there as 5-year-old. Got noticed, and when the Cowboys come to the competition in '95, in '94 they were running like training camps all the time. And you'd represent Mount Isa, you'd go and play over in Townsville or Cairns in like a round robin.
Yep.
So you'd I think I made one team just off on the bench. That was when Josh Henne was the gun back then. No one could tackle him. He was the same size as a 14-year-old when he was like 20. So even through that, I guess, avenue, had a chance to trial with the Cowboys. So that's sort of how it all come across. But I think it was only off the back of a Broncos camp 3 weeks prior that the Cowboys sort of took notice.
Oh, really?
So that was my first initial contact with Wayne and Johnny Plath. Used to run a Broncos camp up in Townsville.
Yep.
Went over there, spent 2 or 3 days with those guys. The final day, Wayne asked if I wanted to, would I be interested in moving from Mount Isa to St Brennan's in Yeppoon to take up a scholarship, and I don't know whether the Cowboys got wind of that and allowed me an opportunity to trial.
Okay.
Who knows, but it went down that avenue.
And being a part of the Gold Coast Titans' first expansion side, what are your thoughts on expansion? Do you think that Brisbane's the best place to expand? Do you think that North New South Wales is the best place to expand, or like Central Coast New South Wales? What do you reckon? What are your thoughts on
expansion? I don't think it was sort of viable at the moment from a game sense.
Yep.
I know a lot of clubs are sort of struggling financially, but
and crowds are down at some clubs.
Yeah, crowds are down at some clubs. But even like I reckon maybe adopt what the AFL did in terms of moving a Melbourne club up to Brisbane in terms of the Lions. So that was a club that they had to relocate.
Yep.
Would have been difficult at the time due to support and so on. But maybe even look at that avenue where if a club's struggling,
move to Brisbane.
Not necessarily move to Brisbane. Maybe move to Perth or to Rocky, but relocate so they actually keep their name, but then call it the.
So they keep their kind of establishment and everything like that.
And especially if they've got a backer there who's willing to put plenty in it.
Yep.
And that way they've got 2 sets of support base.
Yeah, that's actually very true.
So it's been done in the AFL. Obviously that's where the Lions have.
Yeah, it works obviously.
Yeah, well they won three straight there at one stage.
3 straight.
Yeah, Michael Voss.
All right, brother Prince.
Yes,
been
mate.
Fantastic, mate. Thank you for coming on the show. It is
you.
Hugely appreciated, man. Thanks for coming down on your only day off. I appreciate it. And it's been very enjoyable listening to you just talking about your career, man. Because you've had one awesome career. 300 games, 5 Queensland, 4 Australian, 3 Prime Ministers, 4 Indigenous All Stars. Actually, before we end, how important was that to you, the Indigenous All Stars?
Mate, it was awesome. I was there from the start, talking to press day. It was a dream.
Yep.
And to obviously see it become reality was unbelievable.
Yep.
It gave a sense of purpose in regards to, the boys representing not only their families, their tribe, but it brought us close together. But also, gave the guys over in Perth and all the crew up in the territory in Adelaide to come up and celebrate.
Yep.
And be proud of who you are, who we are. But also, even just the lead-up stuff, the stuff that we're doing in the schools, and it was great to see the stars of the NRL really adopt it and jump on board with the whole
because
process.
the Indigenous culture in rugby league are so important. I mean, there are that many young Indigenous kids that have no opportunities, and rugby league is their only saviour. Like, it's the only outlet to keep them, doing the right thing and not get caught up in bad stuff. And I think people underestimate how important rugby league is to Indigenous community, and also how important the Indigenous community is to rugby league. Like,
exactly.
do you have rugby league doesn't look the same without the Indigenous community? I mean, look at our stars today: Inglis, Thurston. You've got James Roberts down at the Titans now. That's starting to be one of the best centre in the game.
Yeah.
You've got all these Indigenous stars that are literally you could argue that the Indigenous community is the backbone of rugby league. You could argue that. I mean, it wouldn't be out of place. So, no, I think that I'd love to see I'd love to see more money put into it. I would love to see an Indigenous side. I guess I'd hate to see the Nines take away from the Indigenous thing, if you know what I mean. I really feel that the Indigenous we should put more into it. I think it's a really big week for the community. Obviously, this is me outside looking in because I'm not a part of it. Yeah. But I mean, I guess the amount of you could speak on it. I mean, it's not just the footy game that matters. Hey,
it's a lead up stuff.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that we do in the community and
Yep.
the children that come and some of the programs that are attached to that.
Yep.
It's a festival. It's a massive festival, and the game at the end of the week is the cream
Yep.
on the top, so to speak. So it's an opportunity where the best of the Indigi boys represent and play against the best in the NRL, and obviously next year it's going to be the best of the world, which in a sense is raised at another gear.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that gets it from an international scale.
Yeah.
So I'll be certainly watching, and I'm very
should go-
privileged
you
and
should-
honoured to be involved. So.
Yeah, 100%, man. I love watching it, and I love that when the game is played, it's more like loose, and it's everyone kind of, they still play hard, but they enjoy it more. You know what I mean? It's not as serious as the other games. They might do really cool plays or whatever. I remember didn't you do some real weird one when you and who was it, Preston?
Yeah, I think they did. You could sort of refuse to kick at goal and try to, like the NFL. You got a bonus play where you can either run one play.
Yep.
So they sort of mix and match, mix and match a bit of a rule.
All right, brother Prince. Thank you so much. It's been awesome.
Thank you very much. Beautiful.
That's it, bro.